If someone in your family or classroom has dyslexia and you struggle to figure out how to help them, how to support them so that they can become confident readers, this video is for you.
If you're supporting a learner with dyslexia or a struggling reader at home, Orton-Gillingham or OG drills are one of the most powerful tools you can use. These include sound, visual, and blending practice. Today, I'll show you exactly how to run the sound drill step by step, and I'll share a few tech tools that make practice simple and effective.
Hi, I'm Rebecca the Reading Hacker, and I'm a neurodivergent former struggling reader, working to help struggling readers crack the reading code and find confidence in reading. Dyslexic readers don't need more reading time. They need the right kind of consistent practice. Dyslexia is a form of neurodivergence. The brain is not broken. It just works differently. It processes language differently. If you have dyslexia, reading requires a lot more cognitive effort than it does for neurotypical individuals. The brain has to work almost double time to connect the letters and the sounds and the meaning. So the working memory fills up very fast and doesn't leave much room for more. And sometimes doesn't even leave room for meaning if your brain's working that hard. That's why practice has to have structure, has to be very direct, and it has to be repeated over and over and over again. And it should be cumulative. You shouldn't be working on anything that you haven't taught them. That can lead to frustration. And we should only be working on one skill at a time. Repetition helps the brain strengthen networks, and that's what we have to do. When the brain is working so hard to break down what's being read, we have to get reading to be automatic, so it takes that pressure off the working memory. Brain imaging scans show that after instruction with forms like Orton-Gillingham or structured literacy, we actually rewire the networks in the brain. The brains are different. They start to use different areas right after having intervention for a few weeks. This is awesome. But the downside is that once intervention stops, those networks fade. So the reality is, for those of us who have dyslexic tendencies or who have been diagnosed with dyslexia, we are always going to have to consistently have repetition of what we've been taught so that we keep those networks firm. And these sessions need to be short, not exhausting, because mental overload, cognitive overload, can happen very quickly. And once that does, we're not building networks then. We're just building frustration and a hatred towards anything that has to do with reading. The first drill is letter sound practice. There are tech ways to do it, but I'm going to teach the old school method. This is go to a store and get some note cards. Now I have some of my larger ones here I got so you can see them better. But honestly, any size will matter. And any color will matter too. You can even have the learner pick that out. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to figure out exactly what the learner is working on. Now, you're going to talk to the teacher or you're going to talk to the tutor. In your classroom, you're going to focus on what specifically you're teaching, what letters, what lesson you're working on. Again, what I'm going to show you is to practice what's been taught because it needs to be practiced regularly. So let's say we're practicing short vowels, all right? The short vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. You would take a card and you would write the letters on the card. Now, I like to color code, so I'll make all of my vowels the same color. That's just me. But what you'll do is you'll take a card and you'll show it up to the student, okay? And they'll just say the sound. Ah. And you're going to go through your deck, and you're going to have a deck. That's how it goes. And this deck is full of cards of letters that you have taught, and the deck is going to grow. That's the whole point of it. A student's deck is individualized. And that's the other part, Orton-Gillingham. It's a very individualized lesson, which is why it's not a program. It's just a way of teaching. And just so you're aware, a vowel is a sound that you make with your mouth open and no teeth or tongue involved. And your voice box vibrates. Ah. So it's near me with your vocal cords. That's another part of how we make it multisensory. You know, we tell students to feel if it's voiced or unvoiced. if your vocal cords vibrate or they don't vibrate. You can also do consonants. Those are all the other letters in the alphabet that are not vowels. Now, when you come to one where the student or your child or teen and they struggle with it, now don't let them struggle, but I will tell you this, you can give them a key word. So let's say they're doing b, right? You can get, my keyword typically is bat. I like to use that one. There's many different types. For A, most of us use apple. You can choose to use whatever works for you, or you can find a curriculum that goes with it. And so what I'll do for students who are struggling with this, and I'll show them the card, and they'll look at it and they'll go, oh, I know what it is. And their memory, their working memory is trying, it's finding it, trying to connect, trying to find the sound. And I'll be like, in the word bat. Oh, and they're like, oh, b, b. All right, and it helps them. I actually have a client right now, and she really, really struggled with Y as y, okay? And so I had to have her the term yellow. And so honestly, ever since she started doing that, and she would go, yellow, yellow, she would think to herself, she's actually really good with the Y sound now. You can do this all different types of letter sounds, all right? So if I was doing a blend, and a blend is when you have two letters together and you bring them together and you say both sounds. You have s and t, so you go st. That's a blend, okay? We also have things in English called a digraph, and this is when you have two letters that make one sound. And if you were to split them up, they wouldn't make that sound anymore. So this one here, shh. Now if a student struggles with a sound, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a dry erase board. Now you can use notebook paper, totally fine, but dry erase boards you can get any Dollar General, you can just go and get, okay? And you can use, I had to look down for that, and you can use markers as well. So what we do when students make mistakes is we want to reinforce what's correct to try to override what's incorrect. So if I had a student who struggled with the letter, let's say A, instead of saying ah, they say I would have them take a marker, and what I would do is I would have them write A, and as they write it, go ah, 3 times, okay? Now some people like to use their finger and have them do it like that because there are a lot of nerve endings in the fingers, okay? Some people like to use sand. I don't use sand. I work with older kids. I've had sand thrown at me. If you use sand, that's great for you. Okay, and if it works, fantastic. But I don't go in it. Some people use shaving cream. Some people use all different types, and they have them just, using it with their finger. All right, I like to use the pencil because I like them to get like the memory within the hand, but that's just me, whatever works for you. But having them say it, 3 times, writing it. The multisensory comes from the visual, seeing it, saying it, and then you have writing it. So you got 3 things there. This drill is especially important because for people who have dyslexia or any kind of struggling reader that have issues with decoding, they typically have weak letter to sound connections. So what we're doing is we're going and we're having them look at the letter and say the sound over and over again. Now, let's say you don't want to use cards. All right, let's say you want to use tech. When I work with my multilingual learners who are working at home with parents who may not speak the language, or when I work with parents who are, just trying to make ends meet and working quite a bit, but they really want to make sure that their kids practice, or if they themselves have dyslexia, what I will suggest is an app. Now on the phone, we have this app called All About Reading. And what you would do with this app is, have the kid look at it and then have them look at the letter and have them say the letter sound. And then they can double check themselves by just hitting it and it'll say the sound to them. Now, if you're in a full classroom or if you're a homeschooler and you're actually teaching other kids, because I know sometimes we get some, collect people together, you can go to something called WordWall. WordWall did not sponsor this video. It's actually free for like 3 decks. All right. So what you could do is you could just continually make decks and not actually pay for it. But if you want more decks and you want to keep it, if you're a teacher, like you want to keep it long term, you can do that. And what you can do is you can create these digital decks and you can put the letters on there. Then you can put the letters up on your projector or your Promethean board or smart board and have the whole class do B. All right. The drills is something that do not have to be done in a small group. You can do it as a whole, as an opening to a lesson.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to go into WordWall and create a sound deck that you can share in your classroom or with a group of students or kids or whatnot. So first off, this is WordWall. I have a free account. I have not paid for anything else, and you can have up to 3 decks in here as well. If you want to keep your decks, that's fine. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and I'm going to go to Create Activity. Now, WordWall can be used for many, many different things. And if you actually do pay for the program, there's all these extra things you can have them do and create. It's actually pretty cool. It's on my list of things once I have the funds. But what you're going to do is you're going to go to a speaking card. Now, one of the things I was first confused with, I thought a speaking card would be where I could record my voice, and you cannot record your voice. So don't think you can. But you're going to click on it. And I'm just going to throw in 3 letters just for it. Okay, let's say I have A. I throw B and D in, okay? You can put all the letters you want or all the different blends or digraphs or everything that we went over. And it comes up to this kind of deck. And what I like about this is it doesn't look really kid-like, especially if you're working with older readers. Just have a little music. So, deal. And you'd have this up on the screen. And of course, you could have all the kids or the ones you're working with say the sound. And this can also be used for tutoring as well, which is nice if you're using a Zoom tutor. And this one. And you just keep going through the deck. All right. And you can unshuffle and do it again.
I want to be very clear. Random practice is not going to help. You have to do this according to something called a scope and a sequence. Scope and sequence is a roadmap. All right. It tells you what to do first and what to teach next and so forth. There are many scope and sequences out there. The research out there shows that there really isn't a whole lot to support one over the other as long as it is systematic and cumulative. You can use a scope and sequence of a program, or if you're working with a tutor, use what the tutor is telling you to do. Okay. Practice, practice, practice. In between tutoring sessions, in between lesson sessions. This should be the type of homework you are assigning as a teacher and as a tutor. Have the parents practice. Teach the parents how to do the drills. This is something that anybody can do with their kid. You know, instead of having us go home and tell the parents to read to the kid or read, which is fantastic. I'm not putting that down whatsoever. But sometimes parents want tangible, hands-on things that they can do to help their struggling reader. And this is something, especially over summers and breaks, because we lose so much ground when it comes to a summer or a break. These long extended times when kids are not practicing, those connections in the brain start to fade, and then we have to start all over again. If you enjoyed this video, comment below what you would like to see me record about next. I want to really teach skills that are going to help you, help your child, help your teenager, help your student. I want you to feel supported in the classroom, whether it's at home or in the school building. Also, if you're interested in working with me for some parent coaching on how to do this at home, or teacher coaching on how to work with this in your classroom, there's a link below to my website. Feel free to reach out. And down below, I also have a list of books that might be helpful on your journey to learn more about the science of reading, and routines and such that can be helpful. Please click on the link. We can change how kids experience reading, how the brain interprets letters and sounds. And it all starts with the right support and practice. So go ahead, crack the code, and unlock the reader.